been around so long, I was on the winning side of the last referendum. So my intention is to try to hang around long enough to be on the winning side of this one. But this is quite important to that, because it's not just in Britain, it's across the rest of Europe. This is quite an important time to demonstrate that the European Union can deliver which individual national governments cannot, and how the European Union can make an added contribution to the competitiveness of the economies in our various member states, and give us the clout to negotiate deals with our giant and powerful friends like the United States that will set norms for international standards. And the best pro-European publicity I've had in a British, very Eurosceptic newspaper in the last month was announcing the beginning of the whole process and pointing out that if Britain wanted to play a positive role in agreements of this kind, setting standards for the world really, if we can get this deal right, it's only going to do that as one of the players in the European Union. You either are members of the European Union and you contribute to initiatives of this kind, or you don't. The choice for Britain otherwise is joining whatever the EU and the US manage to agree. The idea we could bilaterally negotiate with the United States is ridiculous. They are of course great friends of ours, but frankly our negotiating power would not be very significant. We would have to listen to be told what American lobbyists were determining was part of the British-US trade agreement. And in my opinion, Eurosceptic opinion does not have an answer to that. And I actually think it's not just Britain. I think the best thing to take out of the present crisis is to try to demonstrate to public opinion across Europe that firstly we can get out of this inertia in dealing with our crisis, and also that the European Union is itself a vehicle for increasing the competitiveness and the opportunities for businesses, for trade, for growth, and so on. So take just very briefly an example, completing the European single market. The European Union has been in place for 50 years. We haven't actually got a complete single market. There are huge important parts of the service sector of the economy where there's no single market at all, and some countries still pursue totally separatist paths. And here we are in the middle of this acute financial crisis, and we're addressing that again, but not making enough progress. And it not only will inspire the British public, I think, to have their interest reignited in the European project, but I think there are plenty of other parts of the world. We have protest voters, but other people have Monsieur Le Pen, and there are other variations. Practically every Western European country has a nihilistic protest party, anti-political party, gaining large numbers of votes, usually on an anti-European platform. And the best response is to actually demonstrate that we get back to the best qualities of the Union, the economics. The politics is also just as important, because we have to demonstrate that, as you say, Europe can play a role in these things, that we are just as important to the Americans as the Pacific partners they have, that there are interests over this side of the Atlantic just as important as the relationship with China on the other side of the Pacific, and that if they want to really set standards and defend values, which they and we share, they've got to get closer together and deepen the relationship. This is a very good way of doing so. So I think it is very important our relationship. It stops the sole news about the European Union being a series of negatives, and it stops sort of escapist right-wing nationalists busily blaming every problem we have on foreigners, and the EU in particular, and gets us back onto a slightly more sensible and positive basis. So that, I think it is very, very important. We deliver completion of the single market is actually just as important as trade agreements with the US, particularly Japan, Canada,